You think I'll let you zone?
Baka.
Hey guys, I'm back again for another video game review, but this one's a bit weird as this time this game itself doesn't really have a story, just an intro and an ending, so I'll give a little bit more info on the IP this time around than just getting into the story of the game. What game might you be asking that is so short it doesn't really have a story? Well, it's Marsupilami Hoobadventrure for the current platforms. French video game developer Oculus were the brains behind the project to make a mascot platformer. Oculus has been around since 2010, making animation and video games for the majority of their time, but they weren't notable in the US until their first home video game project done in-house with Marsupilami in 2021, where it takes cues and homage from the Retro Studios Donkey Kong Returns IP, with the style and gameplay are almost one-to-one. But before we get into the story, let's get a little background on the Marsupilami IP, shall we? Don't worry, this will be real quick. Marsupilami is a famous French comic book fictional animal species created by Andre Franquin. Its first appearance was in the January 31st, 1952 issue of the Franco-Belgian comics magazine Spirou. It wasn't until the 80s that a spin-off comic series with that fake animal species of Marsupilami, and not that particular Marsupilami that had first appeared in the comic series of the magazine Spirou. This Marsupilami series that became a franchise that the game is based on started in 1987, which also birthed the publishing house Marsu Productions, which is named after the series. The West might vaguely remember Marsupilami as in the 90s, where it was a Disney show of the same name because Disney licensed the IP and made 13 episodes of the show, and was sued by Marsu, stating that they didn't keep their word making 13 half-hour episodes, but instead made 10-minute episodes and strung them together into a 30-minute slots to be an episode. The judge ruled Disney violated the contract and was ordered to pay $10.5 million in damages in 1997, but Marsu has only received $1.1 million of the verdict to this day. Now let's get into the story of the video game. Or, what is the story anyway? This is the literal story of the game. Punch, Twister, and Hope are three Marsupilami who live a peaceful life in Palombia. One day, the trio accidentally open a cursed sarcophagus by playing with trash on the beach. They release an ancient ghost that puts a horrible spell on all animals in the area. Fortunately for them, the Marsupilami are immune to the evil spell. The Marsupilami chase the ghost through 3 islands of Mona, destroying one amulet after another until the final fight, where they seal the ghost back into the sarcophagus and save the island's animals. Yeah, that's the story of this game. It's not very long or complicated, so let's get into the gameplay. Marsupilami Hoobadventrure is a platformer that doesn't reinvent the wheel, but heavily takes cues from another, this being Donkey Kong Country Returns, with the aesthetic where certain levels are in silhouettes like the Donkey Kong games, and even the HUD where the heart points are displayed. The only thing they didn't reference was the other Marsupilami do not have any extra skills, as they all play the same, so they are just skins at this point. Let's get into the mechanics. You can jump like in any other platform, but unfortunately they cannot double jump, so you're committed to the jump. But there are other tricks you can do to get more distance, like this rolling dash they can do in combo with the jump for more complex platforming the game wants you to perform. The Marsupilami also have a ground pound to open up jars and get rid of enemies that cannot die with just jumping on their head. They also can swing from hooks in certain gimmick levels, but what they have going for them is their long reach. And I mean long, but they don't have any iframes during this, so be careful, you can hurt yourself if you don't time your jumps correctly. If you want to know what they collect, well, I don't really know, as it's just fruit to me, but if you collect 100 of them, you gain a life. But don't worry, as there is difficulty settings to get the right challenge for you, from less hit points to more cannon toucans or pits. The easier you can make it for yourself means that everyone can enjoy this game. To progress through the game, levels are gated by feathers you need to collect in every level, but they are not necessarily mandatory to go further into the islands. You just need enough of them to access levels or boss. Then there are the bonus levels hidden in each level that reward you with a ticket that you can use to access another type of bonus level, but these are mainly for extra lives. Marsupilami, the Hoobadventrure, doesn't do much to be different from other platformers, but would rather play extremely safe as much as it can with very few gimmicks if any. This can lead it to be feeling very plain. The game itself isn't very long, with a little over 30 levels with no story to tie it down, but it can be enjoyed by all with its familiar design to Retro Studios' Donkey Kong Country Returns series for Oculus' first in-house console PC project. And if for whatever reason you can't or don't own a Switch, This is a good substitute if you want to play Donkey Kong on other platforms. With that, I give Marsupilami Hoobadventrure a 7.5 out of 10. That should do it for this review, but I got one more short game before I try an RPG. But this one was a remake of a classic, even though the remake itself is over 12 years old, with Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse. Stay gold, and I'll see you in the next video.